Greetings, Kindred. I am voivodemekhet, and this is Our World of Darkness. I'm with Silent Comedy. How you doing, Silent?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. This is the penultimate episode of tapping the vein for the typical clan stuff. We're gonna have to come up with we're gonna have to think soon.
I know, I know.
Isn't that scary?
It's gonna
It's a little
be
scary.
scary. It's a little scary. I mean, we could like I was thinking about that today. It's
Yeah.
like no, we just pivot, right? Like we keep doing tap in the vein, like on your channel, but then we switch. We're gonna pivot our like
Oh
weekly
yeah,
recordings to being more like structured off of Werewolf on my channel.
yeah.
So it's gonna be fine.
Hell yeah. I was
But
talking to one of the players earlier, Daviga, and he was like, "What about Bloodlines?" So
I've
he's
been
like,
asked. I have had people ask me when we were gonna do Bloodlines. Um, I mean, we could totally do tapping the vein on Bloodlines.
"Yeah,
The problem with Bloodlines is they're all very niche, and they would end up being like 30, maybe 30, 40 minute episodes
yeah."
at
They
most.
would be shorter, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing.
True,
Because
not
these were supposed to
necessarily.
be originally these were supposed to be like an hour episodes, and now they're mostly like an hour and a half, 2 hour episodes. So
True,
like if we
it's
say,
true.
oh, these are only going to be 30 minutes, they're going to end up being the hour we were supposed to do. So, but
You're probably right about that.
today we're doing the Cyclops, we're doing the Salubri, which I'm super excited about because these are just fun. They have gone through a couple of basically different renditions throughout the season, throughout the different editions of Vampire the Masquerade. But like they've always been kind of they've always been directed as being the quote unquote good vampires, you know.
Yeah.
And in V5, they've kind of taken away those shackles.
Hmm.
And I understand a lot of people hear that from me, and they're just like, "Oh God, he's going to go on about bad Salubri again." But like, it's not that I'm saying you have to play a bad Salubri. I'm just saying you actually have the option now. You can play a dirty-handed, an underhanded like Salubri. You don't have to just be like you're not completely compelled just to be a good guy the whole time.
Well, I mean, let's address kind of that the motivation for why people felt that way in older editions
Mm,
was that the clan's like special discipline was like I'm gonna make everybody feel better and happy and
yeah,
heal. Um, but like let's kind of branch away from VTM for a second and do the like side by side comparisons.
mm,
The Banu Hakim often get referred to as the paladins of vampire, right? Like
yeah,
they're your vampire paladins.
mm,
Well, your Salubri are your vampire clerics, if we're going
true,
to use that D&D kind of analogy.
yeah,
So just like in D&D, there are evil paladins and evil clerics. Your Salubri doesn't have to be a good guy. First of all, you can just not take their in-clan discipline
yeah.
if you
Well,
want
they
the third eye
didn't.
and not the
They
discipline.
did in the past because like their clan weakness and their like that stuff all had to do with like helping people,
Hmm.
you know. But like now, like it's just a lot more freestyle. Like you can actually have
Well,
a personality with a character.
well, yeah. So I think I said this before, and I'll go ahead and just get this out of the way now, so we can go move forward on it.
Mm.
Three eyes on a vampire doesn't really do it for me. It's not really my vampire like image, right? Like it's not the
Definitely
image I have for the.
makes it harder to buy sunglasses. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, unless you get the one with the nose and flip it upside down, but like um,
Was that something we've said before?
that is
That
something
sounds familiar.
that is something that I started to say, and you finished the sentence for me in the Rat House
Oh,
video.
okay,
Like,
okay, okay.
yeah, um, yeah, the Salubri, like the whole three eye vampire thing. I'm sure there's some precedent for it. Maybe it's a divergent from the standard tropes to be more, unique and of its own self and original.
Well, it's
Um,
supposed to be because Salat left the second
right.
city and like went off and like got Eastern practices, and it's a symbol
Yeah.
of like
He found
his
enlightenment
development. Yeah, his enlightenment.
but yeah. So the I'm I've I understand that like when people look back on like older editions, and this goes for any game, right?
Hmm.
There are always going to be those like, oh, you couldn't do this, you had to do it this way, and it's like,
Hmm.
well, it definitely seems that way. I'll concede that it did appear that way, but it was never actually that way. Like if
Okay.
you understand, if and this goes for anything, if you understand the if you understand the boundaries that in which
Uh-huh.
you are quote unquote forced to play within, you then have then you can then draw the lines that you need to within that boundary, within those limitations, to make a character who is not just what it's trying to force you to be, or what
Yeah.
you perceive that it's trying to force you to be. I don't think it was ever really forcing you, but
Well,
um,
the big
so
reason.
like, and that's addressed with one of the concepts in V5 is the unwe like what we'll get to it in a little bit, but
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
one that's like you don't want to be a good person, but you're like compelled to be a good
yeah.
person.
Well,
You know,
one of the big reasons why I've been all obsessed with like the bad Salubri, the evil Salubri, not technically,
that
not a Salubri anti-tribute, but like a bad person who happens to be a Salubri, is because one of the first NPCs that I ever made that just blew my players out of the water. Did not expect it coming from like a million miles away. Is I had a character back when I first did Thicker Than Water, like seriously 20 years ago.
mhm,
There was a character living in like in the mountain near Portland, which was this old Salubri who would train anybody who asked him to in the ways of Golconda.
mhm.
What they didn't realize until it was too late was because he was seasoning them. He enjoyed diablerizing vampires on Golconda.
Oh,
So he
okay,
was a Salubri, but he was a dirty, mean son of a bitch. Like,
yeah,
and he came across as this like old wise, light in the darkness type, but like they did not expect for suddenly the Salubri to be a Diablerist and to really only be preparing them for him to eat, like no matter how long it took.
right.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
I like the idea.
that's a really cool concept. I kind of have this like I had this as you were talking, and actually just a little bit before I had a concept kind of hit me where it's like you could have like the Malkavians are typically seen as the ones who explore like psychological horror.
Hmm.
And don't get me wrong, like the Malkavians absolutely have the trademark on psychological horror.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
You can get into some really like really messed up. Like I'm gonna just go ahead and throw out there like trigger warning. I'm about to say some things that might be
Yeah.
uncomfortable for some people. You can get into some real like serial killer like Dahmer vibes
Yeah.
with a Salubri, and I mentioned Dahmer specifically because he does eat people. Like he did eat people like after he would have relations with them and everything.
Hmm.
But you could have this like sociopath who never had feelings or emotions prior to the embrace,
Well, if you
and
want to
has
get.
this like killer habit of like kidnapping people, leaving them in a dungeon, in his basement, chained up in his
Hmm.
basement or whatever, and like abusing them and whatever, right? Like whatever sick thing that you can imagine a sociopath with zero like impulse control doing.
Yeah.
But then you have these like really dark themes of emotional manipulation where like your character gets hit this individual gets hit with the empathy of the clan, and then goes, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't believe I've done this to, please, here, take, here's some food, please. And like you're just going to get this like really dark story of like emotional manipulation leading into Stockholm syndrome, and then
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that you can do to play
Well,
against type with this.
you mentioned Dahmer for that, but did you know Ted Bundy used to work for us for a call line, a helpline?
Yeah, Ted Bundy is another good
Yeah,
example. Yeah,
he used to be the person people would call when they were going through personal troubles.
yeah. Well,
That's kind of crazy.
that's crazy to me. I did so that just revealed to me like an inspiration for. I don't know if you've ever seen the Netflix series of Daredevil.
Hmm. I
But the
have.
guy who
I
plays
love that.
the guy who plays Bullseye, he was a sociopath.
Hmm.
He had no moral or emotional guidance really, and so he had to structure his life in a very rigid way that allowed him to maintain, keep himself in check.
Yeah.
And he worked for a suicide hotline, and he had like this obsessive like stalker kind of vibe toward one of the girls that worked there, and whenever she would be watching him, he would be like, how's that, how, why do you feel this way? How, that must be really hard.
Hmm.
And then she'd walk away and be like, how are you going to do it? What kind of gun do you have? Like he'd get like
Yeah, yeah, he get in
pleasure
there.
out of it. So, I mean, there's some
There's
really,
some,
really unwell
th-
people out there.
yeah, those kind of characters are definitely the kind of thing where if they're in a game, you definitely need to touch on lines and veils with the
Yeah,
players.
yeah,
Even
definitely.
even other players need to touch on lines and veils, and
I mean,
like lines and veils for the storyteller. Also, that is something that
hmm
I've realized is
hmm
neglected. Huge is I didn't realize that was a thing until a couple of players asked me what I was comfortable with running,
yeah.
and I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that people cared. Like,
I
but
mean, you definitely like that's a topic of just being a mature and a healthy group of players, adults playing a game that is meant to be enjoyable for everybody. If you're the kind of table like you and I, we can explore these dark conversations and these dark topics without
mhm.
any like concern. But you and I also, after the fact, whenever we have these dark scenes, it's like, hey, are you good? Yeah, I'm good. You
Yeah.
good? Yeah, I'm good.
Well, it's always good to
Um,
double check with people.
yeah. But the Salubri, I mean, we have to like, this is the thing that I had this is one of my complaints that I always had with the Salubri. It was like
Okay.
it didn't it not a complaint necessarily, because it's not really a complaint, because like I am fascinated by it, but it's also one of the reasons I usually just write off when people say they're playing Salubri. Like
Hmm.
I tend to like wave my hand and go, okay, that's cool. I hope I'm gonna make sure they have fun nonetheless, but like most people, to me, don't really think that far outside the box.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it was a nurse in life, and I just, I don't want to lose my humanity. And it's like, well, that's great. There's a great place for that story. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to shit on that story by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
But I think that the Salubri, more than any other clan, are like, you are a vampire. And you mentioned some of those, like always checking lines and veils with those topics. And this is kind of like a tangent a little bit here, is that like the very nature of being a vampire is predatory.
Hmm.
It's creepy. It's invasive. It's
Hmm.
it's per- very perverse. Um, like the very essence of being what a vampire is dark. And so like to see people play the Salubri as like just the white bread good guy
Well, that's
is
what I was talking about. Is like
like,
people always want to put the Salubri as the good guy.
but they're
You
but they're
still have to
not.
eat people.
Yeah, they're not the good guy.
You still have a predator type, which in my book says you have a modus operandi. You are a serial killer.
Yes.
Regardless of what's happened, you have a type of target you go for. And most of the time with Salubri, it's going to end up being like consensualist.
hmm
Like, in my mind, is actually kind of a little bit more creepy than most of the other predator types, if you stop and think about it. Like,
Okay.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I like to find somebody and talk them into letting me do it.
Yeah.
I want them to ask me to bite them.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, that goes back to
it's
the
it's a little
weird
bit more
concept.
psychologically messed up.
Yeah. I mean, if you think that predator type would fit perfectly with the dark kind of concept that I was talking about
Hmm.
just a few minutes ago. It was like, you know, they're kidnapping people, and they're mentally and emotionally manipulating
Yeah.
and conditioning them to want to be fed on, right?
Now I know
And
we
it's
don't
it's so twisted.
we don't typically go into details of disciplines in tapping the vein.
We need to for
And
Salubri, though.
eventually, though, I want to do like whole episodes on disciplines.
That would be
But
cool.
but there is a level of the disciplines that the Salubri practice that effectively causes people to not deal with their shit.
hmm
And what it does is it basically makes people numb. And
Yep.
after a while, that's going to cause some severe things. And I've gotten to arguments and discussions about this, and people are like, "Yeah, but it's like medication. You're supposed to take it at the proper doses, and it will help you if you're using it right." Tell me where in the world of darkness anybody uses any medication properly.
Yeah.
It's the world of darkness. These are people who are going to be ODing on everything they can. The whole thing is a drug allegory. Vampires are feeding on blood, ghouls are feeding on vitae, and anybody who's going through any kind of psychological pain and is standing around a salubri is feeding off Obeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Or
it's a
they, I
really
think.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. I was just gonna say, I think they changed the name of it in the player's guide to like Panacea or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, classically, like the name of the discipline was always Obeah.
Obeah, yeah.
But I guess it's probably a cultural thing that they
It
decided
is
to
a cult.
change
It
it.
is. I looked into it recently. It is a cultural
Okay,
thing.
and that's understandable, but it is going to be something that I'm going to struggle with for a little while
No, it's Obeah.
because only because I've been playing this game for 20 years now. More than 20 years now, and we've called it that the whole time. I'm
Right.
100% fine with a name change, but it's going to take me a little bit to get used to it.
Right.
But on that topic, the disciplines of the Salubri have changed a little bit because they're of the lack of clan specific disciplines.
Right.
They still have aspects, which they always have. They still have fortitude, which they always have. But instead of Valoran or Obeah, they now have dominate,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of interesting because there's so much to look at here when it's like the connections between Clan Salubri and the Tremere.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have dominate, and it's primarily because most like amalgams are dominate based. And we've had conversations about that. You wish like more disciplines didn't run off dominate, and you've had great
Oh,
suggestions on things they should run
just a
on.
couple. Just a couple.
Yeah,
We'll get into that next week.
I just
There's
think
gonna,
that I think dominate is like the ultimate vampire power.
I mean, it's pretty quintessential. The idea of
Yes, so that the
compelling
fact that
mortals. And that kind of thing.
the fact that like almost all of the amalgams run off of it, I don't care. I just don't care. I think it works fine as long as it makes sense. But yeah, what do you think about the idea of the Salubri having something like dominate?
So I think that it makes sense in the way that it's portrayed.
Hmm.
You're using aspects to affect you're using dominate and aspects to control the emotions of the target or their sense of feeling, right?
Hmm.
And so that makes sense. I personally like the idea of the those three disciplines together are a spread of disciplines that I would have been like any if they'd given it to any vampire, I would have been like, yeah, I like that, Um, so I don't really have any issues with it. It's
Okay.
different. It's definitely different. And now I haven't really. It's been a long time since I've read the original Obeah or Valoran.
Mm.
So I don't feel like I'm really much of an authority when it comes to talking about the comparisons of the powers. However, what I will say is Valoran was my favorite of the two. Um, and I will say that like the anti-tribute, Salubri anti-tribute
Yeah,
were like the warrior
the
cast,
warrior cast. Yeah.
and I really liked them. I thought they were really cool. Their whole idea of like we're not really here for the Sabbat, we're here for revenge, and we'll go until we get it, and then when we get it, we'll cross that bridge when we get there
Yeah.
as to what's next. So I like the warrior cast in the Sabbat.
I learned a little bit
I
about
liked
them when we were
Valor.
doing the prog game.
Oh really?
Yeah, because I didn't realize that the Silver Mines cave
Mm-hmm.
that like is all wrapped up in the whole Vampire the Masquerade Redemption video game, like the old Christoph Romuald thing.
Yeah.
When the Sabbat in the 90s cut through Prague and they ended up having to hide in a cave, I'm assuming that same cave, they found the sleeping Salubri anti-tribute. Like they found the
Oh.
warrior cast of them in Prague, and then instead of doing what the Sabbat typically do, which is let's just diablerize these sleeping vampires, they decided to wake them up instead and made them into allies.
Hmm.
So like it's actually tied into the whole Prague plot line. That
That's
yeah.
that's fascinating. That's that's doubly fascinating for a reason that you're not aware of.
Okay.
There's the fan project for remaking that game
Yeah.
using the Bethesda Skyrim engine. for using the game of Skyrim as like the basis and modding
Yeah,
the
it looks
crap out
amazing.
of it. It's fantastic. I actually had the liberty of play testing that.
Oh,
The guy who the creator had at the time had put up a channel looking for people to play test, and I'd reached out and he's like, "Yeah, I'd like to play test it,"
very cool.
because I was super hyped to see what he had and what was coming, what he was working on. And that was the specific location and
Oh,
mission
you got to
that
play
I
test
was
the silver
tasked with.
mines?
Yes, that was
That's
the
awesome.
specific place that I got to go play test in, and so that was it was interesting. It was definitely
That is
interesting.
cool.
Yeah. So the fact that that's where the Salubri were is like hilarious. It's doubly funny to me.
Yeah. That's
That's kind of
really
neat
cool.
though. I didn't know
Like
that.
I
Yeah.
don't know specifically if it was the same cave, but in my own personal headcanon, I guess there's only one silver mine in Prague. I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, we should. I'm gonna say his name wrong, but Galajro.
I don't know.
Galajro.
We'll put a link to the description
Yeah.
for at least some of
Put a
the
link.
videos from the videos that he has on YouTube. If you guys
Yeah.
can check out his Discord,
His Discord's cool.
it's so cool. Like the work that they're putting into it, the
It's
voice
crazy.
actors, the graphics. It's just I cannot wait till this is done. It is going to end up being like my new favorite, VTM video game when it's finished, and
Oh yeah.
it's not even official.
Yeah.
But
I've got
it's
a
amazing.
folder of just the mod stuff that he sent me to upload to play, and like I was kind of blown away.
He's got some scary looking Schlachta.
Yeah, it does.
Scary
No,
looking Schlachta.
I was playing that in a dark room with nothing more than the light of my keyboard and my screen.
Yeah.
Went into the mine where there's the jump scare of the body being moved and the Shlaka jumping you, and it's pitch freaking black in there. I didn't have a torch,
Oh god.
and I couldn't see anything. And that screech, like they come in screeching, and it freaked me out.
Yeah.
It actually got me. So
Okay.
but yeah. So the Salubri in a mine. That's how they found
Yeah, that's how they
them.
found them, and they
It's about.
decided not to eat them. They just decided to wake them up, bring them into the Sabbat.
Well, I mean, what would you do if you just saw a bunch of like sleeping bodies with three eyes? Like,
I mean, I don't know if they were able to tell. And also, it's the Sabbat, and they see Salubri, who stereotypically have low gen.
true,
So the fact that
true.
they didn't eat them is a miracle.
Yeah,
But anyway, or at least eat all of them except for one, wake that guy up and go, we don't know what happened. We just got here.
we
Um,
just got here. You're all excited.
we saved you.
Don't use that. Don't use that third eye to look at my aura.
Right.
Um, but yeah.
Okay.
So we were talking about the disciplines.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. I think there was a particular power. I think it was the armor of Cain. Was like a forethought Valorant power.
Hmm.
Um, I don't. I kind of miss that.
See,
Like
I
I know
miss
it's.
Shepherd's Watch.
Which one was that one?
Shepherd's Watch was a discipline that was both part of Obeah and Valorant. It was like one of the either one could have it.
Hmm.
And it was basically an aura of you can't touch me unless I do something hostile. So it
Oh, okay.
effectively lets you walk right into the battlefield, get right where you need to be, and then go, and I'm taking you out.
That feels.
You
See, that
know?
feels like it feels like more like a presence power to me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Um,
I could also see
but
that being a dominate plus fortitude.
yeah, that's fair. Like
I'm projecting my fortitude.
yeah, I could see that too. Um, I understand like the mechanics of how like defending against damage and reducing damage has changed between the systems.
Hmm.
I think V5 nailed it on the head, but I do kind of miss some of those more like there was, and I also think that like Obeah was the one that healed, Valorant was the one that harmed,
Yeah,
and it's like Valorant in this system I think heals willpower damage.
I think so. There
It
aren't
restore. It
any.
doesn't heal. It
There
restore.
aren't any warrior salubri powers that are like worth mentioning,
Yeah,
which is
they didn't
sad.
really provide any warrior powers, which is sad because I'm like I was honestly expecting um the Obeah power to mend health damage and the Valorant power to deal health damage.
Yeah.
Or alternatively, I was expecting them to like Obeah would heal willpower and
Well,
Obeah would
I
deal
mean,
health damage,
how
right?
cool
Like
would it be to be able to like use Auspex plus dominate throw a mental challenge and have wounds open up on someone that you're not
Yeah,
even near.
because
Like,
you're tearing at their soul, and it's causing physical damage.
yeah. So in the past, moving on from disciplines, because I don't really know where we can go other than just lamenting the past
That's
disciplines.
pretty much all we can do is
I
lament the past.
I do love what they have there now. Like, I do
I
think
know,
it's
yeah.
fun, but it doesn't mean I don't miss what was there.
Yeah, yeah, no, I don't want it to sound like oh, Silent hates it. Like, no, I don't hate it. I think
No,
it's really
I
good.
think it's really good.
I
I
think
do
it's
miss some
great.
of the other stuff.
I also
Um,
miss the other stuff.
but the Bane. Let's look at the Bane. In the old days, the Salubri. There were I mean, first off, it didn't even really count as the weakness or the Bane or whatever. But like, there were only like 6 of them left.
Hmm.
You know, like, but now they're starting to embrace like bunnies.
Hmm.
Like, there's a story, I think it's in the Sabbat book, that talks about how healer Salubri are coming out of the anti-tribute. Like,
Really?
they're embracing and like running away,
Hmm.
or instead, like, they have to go through like a certain like a series of initiations to be brought into the warriors, and they're just not going through it or something like that. But there's a reason why there are now more Salubri. There's not just the legend of the 6, of the
I
clan,
think I
and
think it was only
they're not all
7,
eighth
wasn't it?
gener. There were 7, and then one died.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. I think it was in the Gehenna novel. Uh, Beckett Beckett had found one of the 6 Salubri, and like somebody shot her with a flare gun right in front of Beckett.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool. It was pretty cool because she was like talking to him, and then all of a sudden she started producing light out of her eyes and her mouth like a jack-o'-lantern, and then her head blew up. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was like Beckett's buddy who did it too, some Nosferatu, I think. But but yeah, there's a limited number of Salubri classically, but now they're not going through that issue anymore. They're not having them. They're not having their child. They're not having their children like diablerize them after the embrace anymore. Like, it's the culture of the Salubri has changed.
Yeah.
Probably for the better, because now people can play them.
Hmm.
Like, and that's one of the things that V5 has done that we've talked about many times, is that they've made things more approachable. They've made things more playable.
Everything everything is more accessible. I mean, because you think about it from a think about it from a practical sense.
Mhm.
Why would they make something if they didn't intend for people to play it?
Yeah, because
Right.
they were
So
NPCs back in the day, but then people wanted to play them.
true.
Like,
That's fair. But if people wanted to play them,
people
so
wanted to
that's
play
why they
them.
made them playable.
Don't make something that's that enticing to play.
Yeah.
Like the Zamitzi, the Lasombra, the Setites, they were all NPC ideas, and
It's like
people wanted
if you're
them.
yeah, I mean, people wanted to play them, and the way they went about it was being like, here we'll make them playable, but narratively almost impossible to
Yeah,
actually justify. It's like just give it to people,
yeah,
you know. Um, so I think that idea in fifth edition is really good. I do want to take half a step back toward kind of the discipline thing.
sure.
Um, and well, let me comment on the whole embracing numbers thing
Hmm.
first. So the embracing numbers things, there was never just 7 because there were the
That's true.
ones
There
that
were some in the Ebony Kingdom that like had like their own thing, and there was a group that like hung out with the Banu Hakim and stuff. Yeah, there were always
and
more
and
than 7.
and not just that though, but like the anti-tribute, they're still salubri.
Yeah,
They were just angry salubri,
true.
and they embraced like madmen. So
Well, keep
you
in
know,
mind
I mean,
how late how
and there are a lot of these like clans have defected from the Sabbat. The
think
Sombra, the
about
Samisi, the
how much later the Sabbat guides were printed compared to the standard books. So like, nobody knew about the Salubri anti-tribute until well after they had already established that there was only a limited number of Salubri.
right.
You know? But yeah, no, I completely get what you mean. Like, the anti-tribute were there; they are still that clan. They're just the
Yeah,
warrior caste of that clan.
right. and with the Sabbat's direction in the narrative and the meta plot of it becoming like down with the clan, no more clan ties, no more anything.
Yeah.
The Lasombra bailed. The Zamisi were like, "Yeah, we're not going to be told what to do by our congregation. We'll
Yeah.
just leave you guys to do your thing."
How
And the
many
Salubri
Salubri jump ship to?
and the Salubri were in the Sabbat for the very premise of getting revenge on for their clan. So why would they have like? Why would all of them had stayed? That clan
Well,
was important to
I mean, I
them.
think it's already well stated that the Sabbat screwed the pooch when it comes to a lot of different things
Yeah,
involving their allies.
and so I mean, the idea that the Salubri are out embracing more and
Hmm.
like trying to rebuild something in the modern knights,
Yeah.
very similarly to the Ravnos.
And again, it does say in the book that the healing cast is coming out of
Mm-hmm.
the warrior cast. Like they have to go through like an initiation project to become warrior cast.
Yeah,
So yeah, no, they're just running around and embracing, and
but
no,
I think
that's
this
a good point.
I think I'll circle back to what make a note that I had something I wanted to talk about pertaining to the disciplines, and I'll come back to it.
Okay.
Um, I think it's interesting because very similar to the Banu Hakim, there is no better time to rebuild your clan, remake your clan in the modern knights
Yeah,
than right now when the Tremere is at its lowest.
that's absolutely true. And
Because
historically, the Banu Hakim and the Salubri have actually gotten along very well.
they have so very all the way back to Hakim and Salah,
Yeah.
their founders. They were the two like, and I know he went on a tangent about saying like the Salubri aren't the good, don't have to be the good guys, but like
Yeah.
in the terms of Vampire, in if you follow like Nodist lore, it's like Hakim and Salah were actually the only two good guys in the second city.
Yeah.
You know, it was everybody else who didn't like them because they had been given authority over the rest of them, and so therefore they did everything they could to fight against them and push them away.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I made an argument a while ago, like months and months ago, about why the Salubri could actually fit in the Camarilla. And
okay,
I think it was if I'm remembering this correctly, because it has been a long time ago, but since the Tremere have pretty much lost so much respect within the Camarilla, and the Banu Hakim have taken point into it, I can see the Salubri being welcomed in, enforced by the Banu Hakim, and
yeah.
then pushing the Tremere further and further out.
So here's my like, I can see that, but
It's just an opinion. Yeah.
it's an interesting thought. I think that if anything would get them into the Camarilla, okay, one, it would have to be there would have to be like it would have to be motivated likely by the Salubri who have that strong clan based foundation,
Hmm.
like the original seven, right? Because the Salubri did have that like rigid clan hierarchy kind of structure.
Yeah.
However, it did pertain and it did involve diablerie,
Hmm.
and that's socially a taboo in the Camarilla. But hey, if the Banu Hakim can make it in, anyone can.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
when it comes to that, so I would say that like it would have to be you would have to have multiple facets to motivate or instigate that addition to the Camarilla.
Okay.
The first one being that the clan, the rigid clan loyal Salubri, making that step forward and beginning to prepare for that, and then someone in what maybe the Banu Hakim in the Camarilla who have a very long history of wanting to kick the Tremere in between the legs, uh, basically doing it like petitioning for them as a slight against the Tremere,
Yeah.
right? So
That's what I was
um,
saying. Is like I can see that
yeah,
working like that.
yeah, that I could see that. I could
Yeah.
see that happening. Now, unfortunately, because they don't really have like outside of those are the original seven, right? Which were always ever changing because they had that tradition of like after the eldest would get so old, the youngest would diablerize them, or
Yeah.
so, or the next one in line would
Well,
diablerize their sire. And
once
so
the
on.
eldest hit Golconda, then its child, who is also studying it, would diablerize, setting the soul
Right.
free. And yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously that practice probably wouldn't do very well in the Camarilla.
Hmm.
Um, and assuming they would want to give up on that. Now, I think that it's an interesting realm of thought to talk about, like the idea of like the Salubri coming into the Camarilla and bringing the teachings of Golconda. That's an interesting thought. Golconda is one of those concepts that I absolutely love in Vampire.
Yeah.
So like making that a more accessible kind of philosophy would be interesting to
Well,
me.
I think Golconda is probably a good topic for a Tapping the Vein episode as it is.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll
1000%.
go a few rounds on Golconda.
I've got lots to say about Golconda.
Yeah.
So I'll just save my thoughts on it here then, and we'll put that somewhere else. But yeah, the idea of the Salui bringing that to the Camarilla, unfortunately, outside of the original seven, the clan doesn't really have that structure.
Mm.
And so I think it's more probable that they will kind of do more along the lines of what the Zemisi are doing in fifth edition, which I'll admit isn't really a lot written about what they're doing in fifth edition. They're kind of just presented in like, here you go.
Yeah, you can
and that
find them
is-
anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, they're anywhere. Is kind of that anarch adjacent. Like they're not really members of the anarchs, but
Yeah.
they are at the same time. And
I mean, I got an NPC. I got an NPC Salubri, and he's pretty much the same way. He's like not really part of the Anarchs. He's definitely not part of the Cam. It's nobody really knows what the hell Nick's doing.
yeah, I think that the best way, if you're gonna have characters like that, the best way to play them is think about what that character would do if if they never had to be involved in vampire politics,
Yeah.
because that is what they're going to spend most of their immortal life doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the story is what happens to that life, the lifestyle that they lead when the politics start to wrap
when
them
they
within
get
a
forced
story.
into it. Yeah.
That's probably the best advice. It's like I have a couple characters right now that you're aware of who I'm referring to that aren't really politically associated with anybody. One of them was and left, and the other one never has been.
Yeah.
So, one of them is doing his thing, scheming his own plans, and the other one is quite literally doing whatever he wants because he can. So I mean, there's a lot of interesting things that you could do with Salubri in that way too. Like, I've seen the Salubri doctor, clinic owner.
Yeah.
That one gets done a lot. I think an interesting concept and probably would fit better in the Anarchs would be like the Salubri activist or like revolutionary, like kind of a play on that warrior cast, but also kind of still touching the toes of like the healer, of like going into places that need reform and reform, tearing down the old structure and then healing a new one.
Okay.
Oh, there's a lot of themes for where I'm sorry, I kind of went on a tangent, but there's a lot of themes for where
No, I mean that's what this is about, right? So it's going on tangents.
That's true. But yeah, the Salubri can kind of fit anywhere. But what I wanted to touch on, if you don't mind me kind of going back to that note on the disciplines,
Yeah, go for it.
I think something we need to address is the fact that those powers don't heal. They don't actually heal.
No, they don't. They just make you
had
not
touched
care.
on it. They make it so that you don't care. So like when they mend superficial damage on your character sheet, those wounds are still there. You just don't feel them. When they mend your willpower damage, you're still it's not that your character's not upset anymore, or it is that it's like it's not that your character has rationalized the thing that caused them that pain, or that wear and tear, mental
Have you
wear and tear.
Have you ever
You
played the
don't
video
care.
game? Have you ever played the video game Gun?
Oh man,
It's like
I
a
think
long
so.
time ago. This was like an
Yeah,
old. I think this was like an old PlayStation 2, like cowboy.
Was it-
Probably one of the best Western games I'd ever seen.
Yes,
Since
yes.
before, like well before Red Dead Redemption. But
Yes.
like when you were hurt in that game, your health was recovered by drinking fifths of whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
You're not healing. You're just making
Mm-mm.
yourself numb to the pain.
Yep.
Yeah,
Whether it's physical or emotional numb.
exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. When you stop and think about it. All right, so we needed to carry on. We're
Sure.
on the Bane. The
Mm-hmm.
current Salubri Bane is the Salubri are hunted. Kindred of other clans are especially appreciative of Salubri Vitae. When a non-Salubri partakes in the blood of a Cyclops, they often find it difficult to pull themselves away. Consuming enough to abate at least one hunger level requires a hunger frenzy test at a difficulty of 2 plus the Salubri's Bane severity, which is the difficulty of 3 plus the Salubri Bane severity if you're playing a Banu Hakim.
Mm-hmm.
If they fail the test, they just keep consuming to the point that they may have to be physically fought off. Additionally, the third eye of that Salat opened while on one of his many journeys passes down through the bloodlines every time a Salubri embraces. This third eye is not always recognizably human in origin, and rumors persist of vertical serpentine pupils or even worm like eye spots. While this third eye can be physically covered, such as with a headscarf or a hood, it is always present, and no supernatural power can obscure it except those that hide the entire Salubri. Anytime a Salubri activates a discipline power, the third eye weeps vitae, its intensity correlating with the level of the discipline being used, from welling up to a torrential flow. The blood flow from the third eye triggers a hunger frenzy from nearby vampires of hunger four or more. That's brutal.
They
That
could have
is,
stopped that Bane They could have stopped the Bane right before the sentence. Additionally,
yeah, yeah. Now, I mean, I think it's understandably that they're not gonna say that you don't have the third eye. I mean, like in older editions, it was if you practiced either Obeah or Valoran, you gained a third eye regardless of your clan.
right?
That was a thing. Like you could be a Toreador and learn how to heal people, and suddenly third eye opens up. Um, but with this one, that's pretty messed up. I really do wish that I really wish that the description of the bleeding eye would have been done better
Mm-hmm.
in the description itself. Like I think the discipline, I think that the bane itself is fine, but I think the description is not thought out well enough. Like I think it should be like if you like have to do a rouse check,
Mm-hmm.
it bleeds. Like if you're activating a discipline that does a rouse check, it bleeds. But like activating every single discipline, what about disciplines that are automatic?
Yeah.
What about disciplines that are reflexive? Like is it
Mm-hmm.
only when they activate a discipline? Like is it when they have to rouse blood for a discipline? I just think it should have been put off better. I've
I think they
seen
should have left that part out entirely. The eye doesn't need to bleed.
well, it used to
They're
glow.
all they're well.
It used to glow. Healer
My
Salubri
per,
used to glow blue, and
my personal opinion. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that Warrior Cast Salubri used to glow red.
Oh, did it?
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
they used to glow whenever they activated a Valoran or an Obeah gift.
My personal opinion is that the third eye shouldn't be physical at all.
Really?
Yes, it should be spiritually. It should be something that is perceivable in their aura or through supernatural means of perception.
Okay, like Sense the Unseen or something like that.
Sense the unseen. If they obviously, I think it's something that could become perceivable if um, like the what is it the blood sorcery ritual where like you taste their blood and find out their clan, right? Like
Yeah.
if you do that, if you've done that, then obviously you have the the taste of their blood is really good, and then I think you would always be able to see like perceive like the spiritual eye on their forehead.
See, I don't
Um,
mind the physical third eye. I really don't, because it's what I've grown up with the Salubri having. But the fact that it
yeah.
just torrential flood,
Hmm.
and it does not make them hungrier. Like I
Yeah,
could
they
see
should have just left that part out entirely. And I
if
think as far as my games go, I don't like. I've never had anyone play a Salubri at my table, but I had considered like if I ever have a Salubri at my table, I'm
mhm.
probably going to just ignore that part of the Bane.
I think take disciplines off altogether. When they fail a rouse check,
That would have been good.
it bleeds.
I could have done that. Yeah.
When they get hungrier, a small portion of the blood. It doesn't have to be like spraying like it doesn't have to be like spraying a person who's standing 3 feet away from you in the face.
Hmm.
Like,
So they create like prize blood,
yeah,
like a tear of blood. Yeah, that would have been more than enough.
that would have
Actually,
been
that's a
more
really
than
good way
enough.
of doing it. Yep.
I do like the idea of it doesn't have to be a human eye.
That's cool. I do like that.
That's new. Like I haven't seen anything about that, but like the eye spots of a worm, the whole like serpentine slit thing pisses me off because snakes don't have eyes like that, like at all.
Hmm.
They have
Some
they
have
have round eyes.
some snakes do have slitted eyes. That's actually a way you can differentiate between like a
Yeah,
water a
vipers and
traditional.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
annoying. It's like they just rush up all snakes having slits, and that bothers me. But
get out of here, you set tight
I'm
sympathist.
sorry. I was a herpetologist for a very long time. Now I tell stories. Um, but I think it's really cool. Like you could do like cat eyes or something like that, and
Yeah,
that's
you could do cat eyes. You could do like you know,
hey,
like
now you
if you're
got your
doing like a
furry salubri.
I was gonna say something along the lines of like traditional Eastern like dragon,
Yeah,
you know, like
that'd be cool.
dragons being, you know, my brain goes to like Avatar: The Last Airbender, where it's like you know the dance of the dragons or
Hmm.
you know the firebending masters or dragons,
True.
where you could like there's some, and I have no authority to speak on Eastern philosophies or culture. I have no like deep understanding of it, but I think if I recall correctly, there is some kind of association with dragons and like wisdom, right, or like enlightenment in some capacity. So you could have like the dragon eye. Um, you know, you could, if you really want to get like creepy with it and really play up those whole the Tremere propaganda, you just have the solid black eye.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Um,
But then
it's like
they
and demon.
demon. Then they also have the whole like your blood smells so good and everybody wants to eat you because you're delicious. I mean,
They should have.
that's a hell of a bane right there.
Yeah, yeah. So the reason that they made the bleeding eye thing was to prevent people from just covering the eye up and not having a bane. It's like okay,
I mean, even when they were just glowing, it was hard to cover them up.
hmm,
Like it always said like if you activate a discipline that's like level 3 or higher, like you were not able to cover it up with anything. Like the glow would be too
too
powerful.
bright. Hmm.
But I mean, I'm also kind of glad that the eyes don't just glow anymore. I always thought that was
Yeah,
kind of dumb. I kind of like the bleeding better, but now I'm just
it
seeing a
makes more
bunch of
sense.
vampires running around with like feminine hygiene pads stuck to their heads. So, you know.
I was, you know, the little like the little sauce cups that you can get like at McDonald's.
A little ramekin, little paper
Yeah,
ramekin. That's great.
no, the little plastic sauce cups, not the one that you're thinking of. Those are like the little ketchup cups, not
Yeah.
those. But like the plastic little sauce cups that you could get, like if you get like Big Mac sauce in a cup, they're gonna give you a little plastic thing with like a plastic lid that clips on.
Okay.
You just take that cup, stick it over your eye, tape it down, and then wear a bandana, like a really thick bandana or like a hat or
Oh
something,
my god.
and
Okay.
just you'll never have any blood seep through.
That's great. That's great. Get really inventive with duct tape.
Yep,
Um, okay, so we do have an alternate bane for the Salubri. We have asceticism, which is
this is an
interest.
interesting one.
It is a
This is
very interesting
interesting.
one. I think it's a lot of fun too. Something in the Salubri resists the vampiric condition, and the more they indulge their hunger, the less inclined their blood is to obey them. Only in abstinence are they free to employ the full extent of their powers. As a Salubri, vampires needs the pangs of starvation to avoid stymieing their supernatural abilities. When their hunger is below 3, Salubri vampires suffer a penalty equal to their bane severity to any discipline dice pools. This is in addition to the third eye. So in this one, they're not delicious, but if they don't starve themselves, they're at a penalty of using
Yeah.
their disciplines. That sucks. As a player who's playing a character who's terrified of drinking blood,
Mhm.
this is a awful freaking bane. I'm not saying that it's not good. I'm just saying it would suck to have.
Yeah, no,
You know?
this is a pretty solid bane. It touches a little bit on the sameness with the bane of the Toreador,
Mm-hmm.
and that it just impacts your discipline use.
Okay.
Um, but not in a bad way, because like it interacts in an entirely different kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it interacts in a way that I think is more mechanically concise than the Toreador bane.
Okay.
Um, I like
Well, the
this.
Toreador Bane, the alternate Toreador Bane is painful. The whole, like, you have to take
Mhm.
time to feed. You take
Oh, I know.
damage if you cause damage. Yeah, you know, you've played it. But, like,
Hmm.
the fact that, like, they do not want to feed to the point where if they do feed, basically they guilt themselves out of being able to use their disciplines.
Yeah, they make it's basically like if you kill, you get full.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're a glutton, you're going to suffer for it.
Uh-huh.
Ironically, they have to be gluttons for punishment as opposed to gluttons for blood, or they
Yeah.
suffer punishment.
Yeah.
So I think it lends itself to the narrative idea of like, you know, restraint and empathy and wisdom and compassion. These tend to be positive traits in people, but those tend to be the people who are suffering the most,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it kind of lends itself to that kind of theme. Or like that enlightenment does not come without suffering, self-discipline does not come without pain, you know.
Yeah.
So I like it as a bane. However, I have to touch back on their primary bane, because when you said they're not delicious, you know, that just makes them, their bane just makes them delicious. I'm like, the first thing that my brain thought was that gives an entirely new definition, a new meaning to the statement. Dang girl, you look like a snack.
The Salubri have a hard time when they walk into Elysium and realize they're the only snack there.
Yeah.
It's sad.
But no, the variant bane is pretty cool. I think I like it more just because, like, yeah, they get to keep the third eye,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't bleed.
Yeah.
I think that I'm far more content with that variant bane, I think, than I am the other one.
Yeah.
I also think it just makes more sense to the clan. Like, I kind of wish the variant had been their primary bane.
I mean, you can always pull it off that way, you know.
Like, in my opinion, I think that the variant bane should have been the primary bane, because I don't recall anything in prior editions about them being tasty.
Um, I'm pretty sure that is a call over, like from the fact that in like at least in second edition revised,
Mm-hmm.
when you were making a Salubri character, you got 2 automatic free points in generation.
Mm.
Now, most people, when they were playing that game, would put as many points in the generation background as possible.
All being 8th gen.
So, some storytellers are like, yeah, you can have 3 points in generation, plus you get your free, 2. Or you get those storytellers are like, yeah, screw it. Throw all 5 of those background points in a generation as you want, and then you got 7.
Mm.
So like either way you looked at it, if you were playing a healer Salubri in second edition revised, you were going to end up being a disgustingly low generation, and everybody wanted to eat you. And I'm pretty sure that's just a callback to that.
I gotcha. Okay, I can see it. I can see it. Um,
Tasty, tasty 3 eyes.
yeah.
Yeah.
That feels derogatory. I I didn't like how I felt when you said that. Uh,
I've got, like I said, I've got that one NPC Salubri, Nick, and he
yeah.
has the standard flaw. He's got the
Mhm.
standard bane, and I'll tell you, man, it's come up a couple of times, and it is a hell of a freaking flaw to deal with.
I think that what you did with Nick is devious, and it's something that the Second Inquisition would absolutely do.
Oh, Project Cicada.
Hmm. Hmm.
That is such a messed up thing.
That is really messed up.
Nobody's drinking from him yet. I had one player
Yeah,
not too long ago who tried his damnedest.
really.
He was like, "Hey, can you teach me how to heal?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can teach you how to heal, but you're gonna need these disciplines, and I'm not teaching them. Well, I'll teach them to you, but I'm not giving you my blood." And he's like,
Yeah.
"Why? Just give me your blood." And I'm like, "You really don't want it." like the whole thing would have been so much better if the players had not found out what happened to Nick and hadn't told him about it.
Yeah.
Because, like, Nick actually, he is a good guy. Like, he does care. He doesn't want to get people sick. And he thinks that he's, like, full of this, like, fungus that's going to mess up whatever Kindred drinks his blood.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, because doesn't it make it so that you have the old world flaw infertile vitae you just can't embrace anymore?
yeah, if you drink from Nick, it makes you infertile.
Yeah. So.
And it also makes it so that you suffer from the part of the Salubri Bane where your blood is delicious.
Mm.
So basically, it
They
just
just make
makes
vampires eat themselves,
it
and
it makes them feed on each other to the point where they're all sterile.
yeah,
Like
and
it
then
was a
still want
damn
to,
good
and then
pest.
eat each other.
It's a damn
Yeah,
good pest control idea. Like you can't kill them. Make it so they can't breed anymore.
yeah.
So
That's brutal.
yeah, I come up with some dirty ideas sometimes. Um,
Yeah,
so on after the bane, we have the compulsion, which is effective empathy.
I like this one.
Yeah. Do you want to read this or do you want me to read it?
No, by all means.
Okay. When the salubri suffers a compulsion, the kindred becomes overwhelmed with empathy for a personal problem that affects someone in the scene and seeks to further the resolution. The scale of the personal problem isn't important. The Salubri understands that sometimes suffering is part of a cumulative situation and not an isolated stimulus. Any action not taken towards mitigating that personal tragedy incurs a 2 dice penalty. The compulsion persists until the sufferer's burden is erased or a more immediate crisis supersedes it or the end of the scene. So even though you are allowed to play as Salubri, who might not care, your compulsion is going to cause you to get involved with that person's with another person's problems.
Yep.
It's really messed up considering the fact that like more and more evidence has popped up in recent additions and stuff that Solot might not have been the nice guy that everybody thinks he is. But like the compulsion
From
is that you need to be helping someone.
yeah. Yeah. Well, so that's the thing, right? You've always said that your compulsion is your antediluvian coming through the blood to make
Mm-hmm.
you behave like he did or they did.
Yep.
So yeah, Tremere propaganda. I fell for Tremere propaganda one time talking to Daviga, and I'll never do it again.
Dude,
I'll
all
never do it
Daviga
again.
does is spread Tremere propaganda.
You propaganda generator, you. Um, I mean, he sounded so confident. He
Doesn't
sounded
he?
like he's so confident. He sounds like a very well educated authority on the topic.
Years and years of playing Tremere, man.
He's read. Well, that's the thing, right? He's read all the Tremere clan books probably
Yep.
multiple times, and I never have. So he was telling me information that I didn't know. He just didn't cite his sources.
I'm going to tell you straight out, like, when you look at the old Dark Age supplements and stuff like that, and you find any Tremere NPCs, they're all on Road to the Devil.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Tremere propaganda.
Tremere propaganda.
Tremere propaganda, yeah. It's an interesting compulsion, though. Like, I like the fact that it says effective empathy.
Mm-hmm.
That means you might seem like you want to get in there and help. It could just be you being nosy and looking like you care.
It's true. It's true.
So maybe that's
You know,
just a lot looking for weaknesses.
listening to you describe this empathy or this compulsion made me realize we absolutely need to do a video on compulsions.
Hmm. Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
Tapping the vein compulsions might be the very next thing we do after clans. Aside from
Mm.
maybe we do the beast first. I don't
We
know,
have so
but
many ideas of things that we
we have
want to do
we
right
have.
after the clans.
I know what our first three videos need to be, and that's got to be the beast, uh, the political, the deep dive,
Uh-huh.
and and I think the compulsions would be another really good one. Um, because this marks like the fifth video where I've
Hmm.
been like, that's my compulsion in real life.
You pretend like you care.
No, I do care.
Yeah.
I get like so empathetic that I'm like, oh no, it's okay. I'm so sorry. Please, yeah, don't be sad. Don't be upset. Don't be angry. You know, people pleasing. Um,
Auspex and Dominate. Are you going to come in as a Salubri instead of a Malkavian?
no, heart no. Um,
Think of how
no,
many.
I'm
Think of how many clans actually have Auspex and Dominate.
Malkavian, Salubri,
Hekata.
Tremere, Hakata.
That's crazy. That's a
Wait,
really common.
no, the Hakata don't have Dominate and Auspex. They have Fortitude and Auspex.
Oh, that's right. They had Dominate. They switched back
Mm,
over to Auspex. That's right.
mhm.
That's right.
Um, they have the Malkavian, the Tremere, the Salubri. Am I forgetting anyone?
I don't know. Probably. Like, there's a lot of
Probably.
clans, man.
Hmm.
There's a lot of clans.
And we're all the better for it. More content to
Oh,
talk
hell yeah,
about.
hell yeah! I wish there were like I really wish there was V5 information on Bloodlines. Truthfully,
Honestly, though, I think they need we do a video on bloodlines as a topic,
mhm.
right? Instead of doing each of the individual bloodlines, just do like a whole bloodlines episode where we talk about my ideas for where I think every clan needs bloodline lore
Welcome
sheets.
to Tapping the Vein. Today we're just gonna let Silent go off on things that he thinks about Bloodlines.
Listen, I have ideas. Okay, that's all I'm saying. World of Darkness, hire me. I have ideas. Um,
Okay, so we do have the archetypes to go off of next. So
yes,
we
we'll
have,
speed through these because I don't know how we're
yeah.
doing on time.
We've been going for about an hour.
Okay, we can go through
So
these pretty
we
quick
got
then.
the Seeker of the Truth, which is whether because of their sire's influence or the sole reason of a third eye mysteriously appearing on their forehead, coming back even after being surgically removed or extracted. The Seeker of the Truth just knows there's deeper meaning in all of this and dedicates their unlife to a grand search for answers. Once a philosophy student, a self proclaimed researcher of the unknown, and a spiritual influencer, this Cyclops focuses on the nature of the undead by examining their own body and observing its reactions to external stimuli. Does the third eye behave just like the other two? Question mark. Seeking enlightenment in written or spoken words of other kindred, and starving their beasts to uncover the mysteries of Golconda. Where others see things mundane or risks not worth taking, the seeker of the truth sees opportunity and learns even at the cost of their own safety. This is I'm interested in this one primarily because of the idea of the Salubri who actually has their eye surgically removed. Like the idea of the person who goes, I can't wear hats anymore, and just pops it out. The
So I actually had a yeah, as I say, I actually had a thought about that when we were earlier when we started reading the Banes earlier. And I
uh,
was just like, if I was a Salubri, how could I get around this really crappy Bane?
mm,
The answer is I'm just gonna pop my eye out and just stuff it full of gauze
ah,
and then duct
ah,
tape over it.
ah,
And I have fortitude. I'll walk around just having an aggravated point of damage on my health tracker at
and
all
then it's just
times.
gonna grow back, and you're gonna have to do it every night.
No, I just don't, I'm just not gonna heal it. Like the only reason that it's going to heal, the only reason it would forcibly heal itself is if I get torpid.
Hi,
I have
Nordy.
fortitude.
My dog has decided to come over and say hi to me. Do you want up on my lap? Come here. Up.
Hello, puppers.
Come here, puppers. Ugh. He is 11. He turned 11 like 3 days ago. It was his happy birthday. We went to the store and he picked out stuff. And he had a burger all to himself. Was it good? Anyway.
I didn't know to say anything. I was like, is this staying in or?
Yeah, I mean, he's on my lap, so I guess.
Okay.
All right. So, do you want to do the
Can I
unwilling
actually?
healer?
Yeah, actually, if I could read the next two. Unwilling healer. Some are born to help others, wishing for nothing else but to cure the ill, soothe the afflicted, and offer a caring hand to all in need. Some end up doing this because their family paid for a medical degree. The salary prospects aren't too bad after all. Whatever their motivation was, the embrace has given them new tools. Now they're able to restore the living and even the undead with their blood. Unfortunately, this isn't what they've signed up for. Torn away from their old job and life that they only thought they hated, the unwilling healer finds themselves loath to continue their craft, yet forced to do so by their sire, by other kindred, or even by their own empathetic compulsion. Jaded, they do what they must, while all while looking forward to anything that could make their job feel rewarding again.
That's interesting. Like somebody who's they're healing because they have to. Like they don't really have the passion for it anymore. It's just kind of going through the motions. And the idea of the Salubri that's just going through the motions kind of fits like that kind of fits the whole standard that I'm on about like the whole not playing just the good guy.
Yeah.
This is a person who has a personality of their own, and I appreciate that. Even if it is them being jaded and emotionally lost.
Yeah, I would play this character as like the what's the word for it? Like a mercenary.
Mm-hmm.
I'll heal you, which you're gonna owe me.
Yeah.
Like I don't enjoy healing. I don't want to keep having to heal these people or these creatures, these undead creatures that I don't really care about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I'll do it for a price.
I kind of like that. I like the healer for hire, the back alley patch Salubri.
Yeah.
You know, he's not a good guy. He just happens to have the talent.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
That's interesting. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, kind of this is going to get a little crunchy, but like, what's the die pool for using that power?
The healing powers?
Mm-hmm.
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but that's why I have a book in front of me.
Let's see, I got it here.
You got it?
Yeah. It's composure plus aspects for the Obeah one.
The panacea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Valoran is intelligence plus fortitude.
So, I mean, you could have like the really intelligent, level-headed guy, like crime guy, like mafia boss, or like I like to think of like the I never say the word correctly, the concierge, or the consigliere
Concierge?
of not concierge. That's somebody who works in like a hotel.
Yeah.
There's a couple different pronunciations. There's the consigliere, or like the concierge of organized crime.
Okay.
They're kind of the right hand of like the guy at the top. And they do a variety of different things depending on that particular the specific organization or operation that they run. But they're kind of seen as like the guy, the go between, right? I'm going to manage. I'm going to go make sure that our guys are doing their work. I'm going to make sure that the other organizations, like we're keeping peace with the other organizations, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that being a very fascinating concept for a Salubri.
It sounds interesting. I'd like to see it. We're going to hop into monster against monsters?
Yeah. Going on to the next one.
Yeah.
The monster against monsters. Let me get back to it. Sorry. I was there and then I wasn't.
I like the shirt that this female Salubri is wearing on page 49,
Yeah, it's really
right there.
cool.
It kind of looks like a Misfits t-shirt, but it
Hmm.
has a third eye. I
Yeah,
like
that's
them. I
cool.
like the Misfits Salubri.
The art kind of gives me like Billie Eilish vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
Like she's just got the lazily kind of put on beanie with the eye in the middle.
Hmm. She's branding
But
Salubri right there.
yeah, she is. Uh, the monster against monsters. Let's face it. The prospect of spending eternity disguising one's forehead and battling the hunger is not entirely a dream come true. Forever in hiding, never understanding why anyone would subject another to the punishment of the embrace, the monster against monster forges their resentment into action. Unwelcome in kindred society, they actively work against it, serving as the anonymous informant for the local police, or keeping a close eye on other predators on their own, sabotaging their feeding attempts whenever situation allows. The prospect of culling the undead population is tempting for them, but whether it's done by their own hands or through cooperation with mortal forces, working against Kindred is an incredibly dangerous game to play.
Ooh.
I gotta be honest.
Damn.
I'm very surprised that they put this in here as a player character concept.
It would be kind of interesting seeing somebody play this character in a hunter game.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying.
Like like they just show up on the doorstep one day of a group of hunters and they're just like, "You want to get some of them? I know where they are."
Yeah. I mean that goes back to my thin blood concept too, right? Like a thin blood, a salubri embraced thin blood.
Yeah. I really like this idea, but like
Mm-hmm.
how hard this would be in a tabletop game unless like everybody in the tabletop game was a hunter of some kind. You
No,
know?
I actually think that this is the kind of tabletop experience that I have been missing so much in Vampire. Of
I
like,
I'm gonna have to start a Patreon game called Monsters Against Monsters and just have it be like all of the misfit concepts of like you
mhm.
hate, like Thin Blood, Salubri, Ravno, just like all team up to take out like an anarch gang or something like that, and they're like working with hunters and mortal forces and stuff like that. That would just be a lot of fun.
A Salubri, a Thin Blood, an Abomination.
Dude, you and your damn abominations.
Nah, listen, I'm just playing. But
I know.
no, what I'm saying is like I think this concept is actually really fascinating. This gives me a sense of nostalgia
Hmm.
for when I first started playing Vampire. Like we were all friends at the table, but our characters were
That's
not.
true. That's true. I don't know.
And
When you play at a table, it's hard to keep secrets.
so we had a lot of what we called ninja noting going on.
Hmm.
Um, but
Most of
um,
my games are recorded. I can't ninja note.
that's true.
I get text from my players at the table sometime, and I'm just like, "Are you freaking serious? I'm recording. Like, what are you doing?" We're,
So the that's why I like Discord because you can just like yank
yeah,
someone behind into a
yeah.
different
No,
voice
that
chat.
behind closed doors thing. That like seriously, 100%. Anybody who plays in the games that I run and has experienced the in between closed or like the behind closed doors portion of those Discord games, 100% silence idea.
Thank you. That's
100%. It has made the game so much more fun, so much more intrigue, so much more surprise. 100% giving Silent all credit for that.
thank you. I put it on there. Honestly, it's just like at a whimsy as like a whimsy,
It's
the kind
such a
of
good
thing that I
idea.
did. But I'm glad it's paid off.
We
Um,
definitely have players who don't choose to use it,
mhm.
but for those that do,
That
it's
has become a
freaking useful.
byproduct. That's a byproduct, I think, of, and I won't say their name just because it's completely irrelevant to anything of this channel is about. But there's this kind of harkens to there's like a byproduct of this of tabletop gaming becoming extremely popular.
Hmm.
And we all know like the people who made D&D popular. Um,
Critical Role.
and yeah, like I wasn't gonna say their name just for branding
Why?
purposes, but I don't know.
Why? What?
Um,
They're gonna Google after this video comes out, and they're gonna look themselves up on Google, and they're gonna be like, oh, somebody said our somebody said our name on this and they're going to check it out and they're going to be like, oh, cool, somebody's talking about us. Like, if you haven't seen Critical Role and you're a role
They're really
playing fan,
good.
get your ass online right now and watch an episode of Critical Role. It's amazing. Like, seriously, it has been it's D&D, but it has inspired me to do stuff like
Oh,
in my World of Darkness games.
I have nothing negative to say about Critical Role.
No,
Like
they're
I like
awesome.
them. I just wasn't sure about like the shouting out of other channels that weren't pertaining to Vampire
Oh,
um
I don't care, man.
or
They
World
work
of
their
Darkness.
asses off
Yeah, they did.
for the content that they put out, and like they are a massive inspiration for everything that I do. So
But
definitely shout
I
out
think
to Critical Role.
I think a byproduct of Critical Role has and so like there used to be, this like there used to be this very immature sense of players and storytellers and DMs in the gaming community, and you read these horror stories online, and when you're not really like when you're not really like around the good examples, all
Hmm.
you see online are the bad examples
Yeah,
of punish your players, punish the character for the player being annoying or whatever, right? Like all these really immature ways of handling of just avoiding conflict and not actually addressing an issue.
yeah,
Well, so with the internet and Critical Role like kind of blowing up tabletop gaming as like a hobby, you kind of get this a byproduct of that is like everyone at the table kind of suspending their disbelief of what their character would be
yeah.
to work together. And I love that. It's incredibly good for D&D and like Pathfinder and stuff like that. But I'm not gonna lie, I kind of miss the internal conflict between players.
Yeah.
Like I
Well,
understand that it's something.
it can definitely be done. It's just Vampire itself is primarily thought of on the coterie basis. You
Let
know,
me
like,
rephrase. Let me rephrase my statement. Not between the players, between the
mhm,
player characters. And I'm aware that Vampire is written in such a way that it's like it's the pack or it's the coterie.
mhm.
When I was introduced to Vampire, though, that is not how it was introduced to me. It was introduced to me that like even you couldn't trust the other players, even if
Yeah.
they were like
Oh,
your pack. Like
absolutely.
I was introduced on Sabat, and we had the Valdery, and like I had one person I was like Valdery like 7 to, and the storyteller was like, no, like you won't betray like the the Ductus of the pack. I had the highest level Valdery too,
Hmm.
and I hated him. I hated that character so much, both in and out of character. I hated him, and we had this Ventru Lasombra rivalry going on,
Okay.
right? I wanted to kill him so bad, but I couldn't because the Valdery would
Hmm.
stop me. But I would find ways to work around him and work against him sometimes. And so that was my experience. My first experience with Vampire was like very
That's
well.
very true. I just find it's easier to do the backstabbing stuff in a LARP setting
It probably
because
is,
I don't
in all
know.
fairness.
I have a hard time trusting that players that I'm playing against, not necessarily running for, but I have a hard time. I have a hard time playing with people and thinking that they're not going to use out of character information. And if I came in with a character such as the monster against monsters, even if they don't outwardly say, "Oh, I know what you're doing. I'm coming after you," I also think that they would end up choosing to do different things that are less incriminating in
Yeah.
that process,
Well, so that's
even
where
if
you
it's
can
not on
play.
purpose.
You just play the monster against monsters. You just don't run like you and the storyteller don't run scenes at the table for what you're really doing.
Yeah, I guess that's
You handle that stuff off camera, so to speak. You play the monster against monsters as you're there. You play the monster against monster at the table and
mhm,
say, "I hate other vampires. I've played this character, just not like a second
not a salubri.
inquisition like turncoat, not a salubri and not like a turncoat.
Yeah.
I played a character who just hated other vampires. He hated that he was a vampire. He was a gangrel. He hated being a vampire. He hated other vampires. He hated the Sabbat most of all. Um, and he diablerized quite frequently. Like,
Mhm.
well, I stopped playing that character at a 4 humanity um, when that game finished. So like he was vocal about the fact he hated other vampires. The monster against monsters doesn't have to be vocal. You don't vocalize it. You don't make it known. You make everybody think that you're there to do, and you play vampire like you would normally play vampire with everyone's best interest at heart.
Yeah.
But then when the session's over, you text the storyteller, I'm sending all of this, I'm notifying my contacts of this, and this.
Yeah. No, that's
And
that's a wonderful point.
and you just betray, and so when the Second Inquisition starts, or the hunters start popping up and taking out NPC, or challenging the other coterie members' resources and influences, and they're like, how do they keep finding out about all this stuff? It sows
Yeah,
the
you're the
seeds a little
reason.
bit of paranoia. Yeah, you're the reason,
I
but
mean, we've had
they don't know.
player bad guys, quote unquote bad guys, player adversaries in the game, such as Serendipity's Levi in Black Sheep. Like
Yes.
or they were out to get everybody from the beginning,
Hmm.
and they suffered for it badly.
Yeah.
But like I do enjoy the players who choose to play the bad guys. It's just this is a pretty in depth
Yeah.
thing.
No, this
Like,
is full on like
what's your
hate.
ambition? Take down the game.
Yeah. No, that's the thing though. You never play this character to be disruptive.
I mean,
Never play
I feel
this
like
is
this
not.
character is destructive.
Let me. You don't play this character to be disruptive. There are players who are going to read this and go, "I'm going to make my other players and my other storyteller and my storyteller miserable." And to
Yeah.
that person, I say, knock that off.
Absolutely.
Stop.
You do need to
This
find
is
a way to play with people while you're trying to stab them in the back.
you. Yes, you still play for a cohesive story. Don't steal the spotlight and ruin
Yeah.
everybody else's
Also, when
experience.
you're playing a character like this, you should expect that you will be the one who dies towards the end.
Absolutely,
You are
you are
definitely
outnumbered.
you are definitely you are coming in with a character that is most likely going to end up being short-lived. If not,
Hmm.
bravo, good job. But be prepared to die when you are the one who's going against your entire game.
Yeah.
After that, we have the spy for hire. Hiding the eye and the blood that tends to ooze from it in the least convenient moments takes practice and dedication. Bandanas, hats, bandages, and patches, absorbing textiles meticulously taped to one's skin and hidden undergarments, realistic silicone masks, staying away from lit up areas and cameras, with a nightly routine consisting of so many precautions. It's no wonder the spy for hire forever stays in disguise, working undercover and leaving no trace behind. Hiring an alleged soul sucker from a silent job might sound like the last resort for many, but with their existence so dependent on lying low, the Salubri might as well be the most reliable candidate for any tasks required an incognito approach. So long as they're guaranteed protection and discretion, the spy for hire is up for any task for a good price, of course. So this is your mercenary,
Yep.
Salubri, and I love the concept because that's something that you wouldn't typically see. Is like, hey, I need this done, and I will make it worth your while. Um, you being the recipient, the recipient of that is kind of nuts for a Salubri when you stop and think about it.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
when you were reading this line, the first line where it says, hiding the eye and ooze, takes practice and dedication. I had to fight myself really hard not to interrupt and go, or duct tape,
or duct tape.
or duct tape. This is an interesting concept. This kind of touches on some of the things I've already suggested for the other concepts.
Hmm.
Um, in a very V5 fashion, all of these concepts kind of play off. Can kind of Your character can be kind of all of them. Um, what kind of ideas does this inspire for you? Like, what kind of mercenary work or undercover work do you
Well,
see this character? Who are they working for?
anybody who needs anything. Like, I really don't see this. Like,
Okay.
I see this as the Salubri, but I don't see them advertising their Salubri. I see
Right.
this being the vampire that everybody thinks is a caitiff.
Yeah.
This is the one that, like, yeah, he'll do some stuff because he needs stuff from you. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they know he's a Salubri. You know?
Absolutely.
It's like, hey, I need to have this, like, this needs to get shipped from here to here, but it's going to be some shady work and, like, somebody might get hurt. Yeah, that guy over there will do it. How do you know? Because he'll do anything as long as the price is right. Like he
Yeah.
needs money, he needs a place to stay, he needs blood. Like there's always something that you need, and this is the Salubri who has given into what they need over what their conscience tells them is right. So
Yeah.
you have the mercenary lifestyle here for this character, and I'm digging it. I really do. I
I
like
kind of
this.
I see this character like buddying up with the from last week's episode. What was the concept? The motorcycle courier,
Oh yeah. I could
or
definitely see
even the
that.
operative for hire.
Yeah.
They like buddy up with a Ravnos.
Now
Uh,
I'll tell you one thing. There's four concepts here,
hmm
and when I've said that I kind of want to do a game where I use just the concepts in the books
hmm
as my NPCs at some point in time. And when I'm thinking about this, and when I look at like these characters in particular, I'm like these clans are scattered. These clans don't have a these vampires don't have a cohesive like organization system.
Yeah,
These four vampires might
are
very
one
well.
vampire.
Well, I'm not saying that they're one vampire. I'm just saying like they might not even know that each other are in the city, and if they do,
Oh,
they don't know that they're all Salubri.
oh, that's cool.
You know, like they would be shocked to find out that they're not the only ones.
See, I can see all four of these being the same character.
Can you?
Yes. So let me explain.
Yeah, please.
You have the monster against monsters. He hates vampires. He hates being a vampire, or they hate being a vampire, right?
Mhm.
So they're working against the vampires in the city, and they've partnered with a hunter,
Mhm.
or maybe they were a hunter, right?
That's true.
Maybe they were a hunter, already killing, were embraced as a salubri, later came back, killed their sire, whatever,
What
or
the
maybe their sire's
what
still
the
on the
hell?
loose. I don't know.
What the hell is your sire thinking when the Salubri embraces a hunter?
Look, I didn't say that the
I'm not
characters
asking.
involved
I'm
made
not
good
really
decisions.
asking you for an answer for that. It's just like
Yeah,
the hell, dude.
maybe your character was a hunter, so they hate vampires. They want to see them all burn, but that's not very lucrative for existing for life or on life, right?
Yeah.
They also have questions. They want to know like they hear the stories of Golconda. Is there a way to come back from this? Can I come back from this? Can I cure myself?
Yeah.
So they're seeking the truth. But in the meantime, they've got to do what they have to do to survive because their hunter friends don't want anything to do with them anymore except for kill them. So now they're doing any job, any mercenary work that they can,
Yeah.
and it just so happens that it's often healing other vampires who they hate.
Mm. It's
I
a
mean,
good idea.
you could play all four of these in one character.
Yeah. Well, you tend to
Or you
like
can have them.
you tend to like to stack
I
the
do.
character concepts into
It
one
adds
vampire.
depth.
It's
It adds
it's
depth.
it's a timeline to you.
It adds depth.
And I'm not saying anything wrong about that. I'm just saying that I have noticed that a lot of the times when we talk about these concepts, that they're a timeline for one vampire for you.
See, it's not a timeline per se. I do this in my consulting.
Okay.
Um, and I have the people I've been consulting for will attest to this. They come to me with 3 or 4 concepts that they like.
You're like, why
Or,
not
or,
all of
or
them being the same thing?
that is exactly what I do
Yeah.
because it's how I build characters. It is how I make my characters
I think I'm
so
guilty of
in-depth.
doing that too.
Like, I don't think it's anything to feel guilty about.
Well, I don't
I
mean
think
like I feel guilty for doing it. I'm just saying that I do that too.
you are absolutely. I think
I'll
it's
be like,
really
I
good
want to play all these
character
characters,
creation
but there's
advice.
not enough time. But I've got one game, so it's time to shove them all in one bag.
It did okay. So, in all fairness, it absolutely started out as that.
Yeah.
But as I started doing that, I realized that it's how I make one of the compliments that I get the most, and I'm so grateful for that other people appreciate it, is that they're always like, your characters have so many layers. How do you do that? And that's why people come to me for consulting for character concepts. It's like
They all
I
have
want to make
DID.
they all have no. That's look. I've got plenty of those ideas too, but
It's all the
it's
same
like
guy.
it's all the same guy. Yeah, no, like it's yeah, you make fun characters out of
Yeah,
doing it. It adds
absolutely.
depth and it builds them. Now, in
Layers.
kind of leaning in back toward what you were saying was these are four characters in the same location who don't know about each other. They maybe even know one another,
Yeah,
but
but they
don't
don't
know
know
that they're
they're Salubri.
Salubri.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's like,
The
what
only
if
one
they're
that I could
all
see,
hiding about being, they're all hiding and lying about being caitiff? And like, there's actually there's no caitiff in the city. It's just for
there's
Salubri.
there's a coterie of Caitiff, and they're all secretly unknowing to one another Salubri. That's why they get along, because they're just like compassionate toward
Do
one
they
another.
get along?
Yeah, they're empathetic toward one
Do
another.
they get along? Or has the prince gone, I need these four caitiff to go on the deadliest missions for me?
That's
But they
probably
end up
more
all
accurate.
coming back constantly because they keep healing each other when they're not looking.
Between fortitude and the ability to heal one another, they're gonna power through.
Oh my god.
That's
That's
funny.
amazing. That's fun. And they're all hiding their eye in specific ways.
Yeah, like the secret of truth is like surgically removing it.
Because
The
it talks about how like only other clans like smell it and like thirst for it.
oh, is it really only other? I thought it was other vampires.
No, I'm pretty sure it says like only the other clans. I will definitely dig
When
that
a
back up.
non-salubri partakes of the blood of the Cyclops.
Yeah, with a non-salubri. So like they don't even notice that there's an issue even if there's hungry and they don't think about it. So like yeah,
That's funny.
one has had his eye surgically removed, one won't take their motorcycle helmet off to save their life. One's wearing a bandana around their forehead and the other one
Is
is
wearing like monster movie makeup or movie monster makeup.
I
And
love the
prosthetics.
I love the whole concept of just like four vampires. They don't know they're the same clan. They're all the exact same clan, and like they could very well be getting along in life pretty fucking easily if they would all just get like know each other's secrets. But they're so secretive about what's going on that they're just trying to survive.
And they like that is the funniest thing. And in a weird way, in a very dark
uh,
and kind of terrible way, it does make sense.
I want to be that sadistic storyteller that tells everybody, "Hey, we're playing a game, but don't tell anybody what you're playing." And then go up to each and every one of the characters individually and go like, "Hey,
Play a Salubri.
I want you to play as Salubri, but I don't want anybody else to know. Keep it secret as long as you can." But
And
go
you
up
tell it
to
to all
everybody.
four players.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Oh my god, that's
it'd be
horrible.
really funny.
Okay. Okay, so we've been going on for a little over an hour and a half. We
Yep,
should probably wrap this up. I think
absolutely.
this has been a fun
I'm so
conversation.
hungry.
I really like the Salubri. You're so hungry,
Yeah,
so
I'm so
hungry.
hungry, but I
I
so I'm so
need,
hungry. I
I
need
need a
sipping.
sippy whippy.
Give me sipping. Shout out to Alpha
Alpha
Busa.
Busa, yeah. So, what are your
This has been a
final
fun one.
thoughts on the Salubri?
I think I've again this very similar to all of the videos where like I'm not that like motivated or inspired by the clan.
Hmm.
I come out of the video with more appreciation for
Yeah,
them and an
renewed
actually a desire,
respect.
a new renewed respect, and actually a desire to play one where I had no desire prior
Hmm.
to doing so. I think I've done this for literally every video where I'm like, they're whatever.
I
I come
hope
out
that's
going, I
what
want to
comes out
play
of
that.
these videos.
Yeah,
I hope that
I
people
did it for
watch
the
these
Thin Blood.
videos. No, I just like I hope random people watch these videos and go, I never really wanted to play that, but now I gotta get a character sheet and start writing some stuff out. Like,
I did have someone tell me before the Ravnos video. They're like, I hate Ravnos. I've always hated Ravnos, and I'll never like them. But I'm gonna watch your video anyways. And I'm like, well, maybe I can help give you some fresh perspective. And then after the fact, they were like, I still hate them, but it was a nice video.
yeah,
Like, well,
well, that's
as
good.
long as you enjoyed the
That's
video,
good.
uh, that's good. But thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Uh, but I did it with the Thin Blood video. I was like, Thin Blood's whatever. And now I have characters where I'm like, I want to play a Thin Blood.
Yep.
And I did it with the Ministry. I still don't like the Ministry, but the concept of playing the atheistic
I
Ministry member,
love playing Ministry. I have so much fun with Minister characters.
or playing the Path Redemptionist,
Mm,
the Sabat like rehab guy.
yeah.
The Hakata, lot of interesting concepts came about from the Hakata videos. And then here we are with Salubri, a clan that I just really didn't have any motivation or desire to play, and I'm like, okay, I have ideas now.
Hmm.
So I mean, I have renewed respect, as you said, for them, but yeah, I don't know. There's not much more I can really add to them because up until now, I really haven't really thought about them as interesting.
I kind of
But
want
I
to
have,
play that Monster of Monsters thing.
yeah.
I really do.
You
That's
play your
just the
monster
fun.
against monsters, and I'll play my Thin Blood Hunter, and we'll have a good time.
There we go. There you go. All right. Any self promotion you want to do today? Because we got a lot of
Oh,
stuff going on right now.
oh my gosh.
We have a lot of stuff.
I am in the process of the final touches
Hmm.
for my trailer that I'm going to be releasing on my channel. Um,
I've seen it. It's good. It's
Thank
amazing.
you. That's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it.
It looks
Um,
great.
so that's coming around. A lot of the things that I was like moving forward with are kind of on pause right now because scheduling is becoming an issue.
Yes.
There's a lot going on in my schedule. There's a lot going on in Maket's schedule. There's a lot going on in the people who are going to be playing. I have one player who's like moving like from across multiple states right now.
Yeah, I think I've
So,
caught little bits and pieces of that
yeah.
conversation in the Discord.
So right now a lot of my things are on a temporary indefinite hold.
I
Um,
say I like to say that my stuff is on a it'll happen when it happens basis.
yes, that is right now. That's where that's at.
Yeah.
But I'm still working. So I've got the channel up. I have people subscribing to the Patreon to kind of help jumpstart the channel, which I'm super grateful for. Thank you to those people who are joining, and for those people who are doing the monetary tiers. Um, and just keep looking for that because it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Planning on do it. We're already talked about it a little bit this video, but we're going to be moving over to my channel for the werewolf series, Sparking the Rage. Uh,
Yes. We'll
which is
still
going to
be
be a lot
doing
of fun.
tapping the vein.
Yes, we will be.
It's just
We'll
there will
just be
be a
doing
werewolf
two.
version of it on the other side.
Yes, yeah. Um, and that'll be going up. I mean, as soon as at the same regularity as tapping the vein. Maybe a different day though. We haven't talked that part out
Yeah.
yet. But um, and then Darkness Emergent is less than 2 weeks away.
Yeah. I'm so freaking psyched, man. It's gonna
I
be so much
am
fun.
just like I am panicking, trying to get everything like last minute things together. I feel like I have so much to do and so little time to do
Just
it.
make
But
sure you have clothes. That's all that matters. Just make sure you have
well,
clothing and you're good to go.
I I have clothes.
Good. Don't overthink it. Just go and have fun.
I'm totally gonna have fun. Um, yeah, I don't know. Do I have anything else going on? Like, I feel like there's something important going on I'm forgetting about. But we made the big announcement last week that we've collaborated into expanding channels.
Yep.
So
We
I
now have
mean,
like a. It's very small. There's only two of us, but there is an R World of Darkness network at this point in time.
yeah, we are a network now, but
Hmm.
technically we qualify. Um,
If we get one
but
more
yeah,
person, it's a conspiracy.
it's a conspiracy. Hey, what is it? What is the saying about like three's a crowd or whatever?
Two's company, three's a crowd.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Um, so like two's good. We were always welcome to have more. But I mean, I don't know.
I would be so pushing for more if I thought Hunter would be successful as a channel.
Yeah, me
Like by
too.
itself, I don't think so. I think that you and I splitting Hunter
Yeah,
would probably be successful when it comes to getting word for Hunter out there. But
yeah.
Vampire and Werewolf are going to be the key holders of this whole thing.
Whenever Changeling eventually comes out, I know
Ooh.
who's. I already know
Ooh.
somebody already mentioned that to me. He's in our circle. I already know who that's gonna
I'm
go
nervous.
to. It's
I'm
Riley.
nervous. Oh, is it Riley? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's Riley. He loves changeling.
I like Riley. Riley's good.
He told me today, he's like, I'd start a channel about that if they release changeling. I'm like, well, now we know.
Yeah.
Don't have to question it whenever it happens. But I don't know. Is there anything I'm forgetting? Like, we
I
have
mean,
so much
I'm
stuff
sure
going on
there's
between this
something, but
village.
my brain is so freaking all over the place with everything that's going on because, like you said, Darkness Emergence right around the corner,
Hmm.
and like all of the stuff that we've been doing concerning like Patreon, both for like yours and mine, and
Yeah,
like you're building, you're emerging as a channel, and I'm like changing as a channel.
yeah,
Like primarily focus on vampire has always been a thing, but like this is going to become like a more of a laser focus. I've been doing like video after video after video as fast as I can to try to get as much LARP information out as before Darkness Emergent starts.
and I am going to binge watch all of them on the way there because I've not had time to watch any of them.
Understood. Understood. Oh my god. I don't know. I mean, we'll think of something if we think of something. I mean, there's always, we're doing the Zemitzi video next.
I know.
You know,
It's so perfect that we ended up doing it in the order that we
Zemitzi
did it.
last. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and that was completely by accident because we were going to do alphabetical order originally.
Yes, yes, it was
But like
entirely by accident.
the fact that the
Venture would have been
Zemitzi
the
are
last
last.
one,
Yeah. Which is
so
sad because Venture was so much fun to do.
it was fun to
It
do.
really
But
was.
I think it makes perfect sense that the last clan is the clan of the voivode himself.
Yes. I'm excited about
So,
that. We
but
will see, depending on scheduling and filming and everything, whether or not we get that out before Darkness Emergent. You know,
okay, yeah,
um, but like plans are we're going to, but we will
yeah,
see. We will see how that works. Um,
hopefully,
yes, but who's ever going to Darkness Emergent, we'll see you there. That's for
yeah,
damn
yeah.
sure. If you guys
Come
see
hang
us,
out
come
with
up and
us.
say hi. Yeah. All right. I think that's about it. I think that's all we
Yeah,
have to say about Clan Salubri.
yeah. It's time to drop the sick outro and close us out.
Yep. You have a great night, and I will see
Yep.
everybody next time.
Later.
Bye.